A very good morning, everyone. It gives me an immense pleasure to start this auspicious occasion by heartily welcoming respected Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, our eminent speakers, Professor Shoma Mukherjee and Professor Shantanu Choudhury, Principal Professor Suhas Roy Sir, other respected teachers and beloved students. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar on environmental sustainability and conservation Issues and Challenges, organized by the Department of Environmental Science in collaboration with the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, S.R.Fatepuria College, myself, Poshali Chatras Dotto, and I am going to host this state-level webinar today. Before starting, I request all the participants to kindly mute their microphones and not to present their screen by any mistake to avoid interruptions during any speech and presentation. And for better experience, they were requested to use headphones or earphones. We are also live on YouTube because limited person can join through the link to Google Meet platform. So kindly check it out and share it if possible so that we can reach more people. Those who are already registered for the webinar and streaming on YouTube, they are requested to submit the feedback form within 12 midnight, and a link of the feedback form will be available in the comment section at the end of this webinar, and e-certificate will be sent to the registered email IDs within 5 days. There will be an interactive session at the end of this webinar. If anyone has queries regarding any speech and presentation, one can ask their question. Those who are streaming on YouTube can write their questions in the chat box, which will be discussed on the interactive session. This webinar is about to be inaugurated by our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir. It is indeed my honor to stand before you to introduce the Vice Chancellor of University of Kalyani, Professor Dr. Manesh Kumar Sanyal. We are gratified and overwhelmed that despite his busy schedule, dignitary person like him has responded to our entreaty. On behalf of Environmental Science Department of S.R.Fatepuria College, I welcome you here to this webinar today. Now I requested our respected Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir to kindly deliver the invaluable inaugural speech.
Wait, sir, Austin, just please. স্যার চলে এসেছে
আচ্ছা
পৌঁছালি আরেকবার
Now, this webinar is about to be inaugurated by our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir. It is indeed my honor to stand before you to introduce the Vice Chancellor of University of Kalyani, Dr. Manesh Kumar Sanyal. We are gratified and overwhelmed that despite his busy schedule, dignitary person like him has responded to our entreaty. On behalf of Environmental Science of Department of S.R.Fatepuria College, I welcome you here to this webinar today. Now, I request our respected Vice Chancellor, Sir, to kindly deliver the invaluable inaugural speech.
Good morning to all of you.
Morning, sir. Morning.
Morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Dr. Subhash Roy, Principal, S.R.Fatepuria College.
Yes, I am here, sir.
Dr. Pinaki Bosch,
Yes, sir.
Head Department of Environmental Science. Dr. Milan Mondol, Coordinator IQAC.
Good morning, sir.
Professor Shoma Mukherjee of our university. Dr. Shantanu Choudhury, Ashutosh College. All distinguished guests, teachers, students, research scholars, and participants. I am very happy to join at the inauguration of the state-level webinar on environmental sustainability and conservation issues and challenges, organized by the Department of Environmental Science in collaboration with Internal Quality Assurance Cell, S.R.Fatepuria College. We know that a healthy environment is one that is sustainable for a long period of time. It is our source of life for everyone. All the human action in our world directly impact our ecosystem. Many actions of us having brought big changes that leads to environmental problems like waste disposal, climate change, global warming, greenhouse effect, etc. So it is necessary to save and protect our environment. It is our responsibility and challenge of everyone to protect our environment towards a greater and more sustainable future. I must congratulate all the members of the organizing committee to organize this very important webinar. I do also hope this webinar will definitely create an atmosphere of free exchange of ideas, develop new idea of research among researchers. I wish this webinar a great success. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining and bestowing us with your own presence, which will be the asset of our college. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Now, I'd like to request respected Professor Suhas Roy, sir, Principal, sir, S.R.Fatepuria College, to deliver his welcome address.
Good morning and Happy New Year. Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, respected Controller of Examination, sir, respected resource persons, Professor Shoma Mukherjee and Dr. Shantanu Chaudhuri, principals of participating colleges, faculty members of our college and other colleges, other staffs, and my beloved students of our college and other colleges. Today is a great day for us. Firstly, because our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, himself has inaugurated this webinar and has given his inaugural address. We are overwhelmed with joy. We are delighted and feeling very proud. We welcome him from our deepest part of our hearts. We also inviting him to our college physically when the pandemic turbulence is over. Hope he will be kind enough to accept our invitation. Secondly, today is a very important day to us because our Controller of Examination, Dr. Bimalendu Biswas, has sent a written message wishing success of this webinar. Thirdly, Professor Shoma Mukherjee, Head of the Department, Environmental Science Department, University of Kolkata, has joined our webinar. I welcome her to our college. She is very much cooperative and has been lending her support to our college as and when sought. Fourthly, Dr. Shantanu Chaudhuri, famous and very popular researcher in the field of environmental research and head of the Department of Environmental Science, Ashutosh College, Kolkata, has joined this webinar as another resource person. We welcome on behalf of our college. Finally, the topic, environmental sustainability and conservation, issues and challenges, is also a reason to remember this day of webinar. The topic itself is a very much relevant, all-pervasive, and of paramount importance. In this welcome address, I would like to welcome all the participants, teachers, students, staffs, and other stakeholders. Now, allow me to say something on the topic and let me describe why I have given permission to Pinaki Bose, the head of the Department of Environmental Science of our college, for organize this webinar. The book Silent Spring, written by Rachel Carson, was published in the year 1962, and it brought the attention of the whole world to the fact that so-called industrial civilization based on modern science and technology is going to bring a disastrous consequence in the near future. She forecasted that springs are going to be silent because of indiscriminate use of pesticides and insecticides. In the year 1972, in the Stockholm Conference, for the first time, heads of many countries agreed to discuss over environmental issues on an international forum, as many of the natural resources are getting exhausted very fast, and many species are going to be extinct due to some anthropogenic activities. In 1982, in the World Summit in Rio Conference, many environmental aspects were discussed and the importance of conservation was recognized in order to protect biodiversity. In the year 1987, the Brundtland Commission placed its report, Our Common Future, wherein the concept of sustainability was first spelled. In 1997, in Kyoto Conference, it was decided to curb greenhouse gases emission to some extent. In 2012, the term of Kyoto Protocol was expired, but the result was far from expectations. In 2010, Cancun Conference also brought plenty of pledges. Since then, many annual summits are being organized, but the outcomes are found not very significant. What we are noticing that the mean world temperature is on rise, ice caps of our mountains and glaciers are melting, coastal areas are downing, frequency of storms and cyclones are rising, species are getting extinct, climate is changing, cropping patterns are also changing, diseases are getting complexities, air, water, and lands are being polluted. It seems very simple when we learn that all these are due to our own deeds, our greed, our ignorance, our selfishness, our personal gain make us blind to act so irresponsibly. We hate to be part of such a civilization, such culture, such education that lead to grow enemies of the environment, ecosystem, and the planet. I think today's webinar will discuss many things regarding sustainable development, and I would like to conclude my short discourse. And with this, thank you all. Thank you again for being present during my lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Sir, for this welcome address. And now we already have our two speakers, Professor Shoma Mukherjee and Professor Shantanu Chaudhuri. Before the speeches, on behalf of all alumni of Department of Environmental Science, Ankita Malu will say few words about their own department.
Very good morning to respected Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, respected Principal Sir, invited speakers, all the respected teachers and beloved students. Here I, Ankita Malu, passed out batch 2015 to 2018, going to deliver a small message on behalf of alumni of Department of Environmental Science, S.R.Fatepuria College, in front of you such reputed people. If I'm not mistaken, then this department was started from 2015. Premising on the past, I personally feel we spent the best 3 years of our lives in that little room at the second floor. We have learned a lot from here, but don't know how much we have been applied to in our life. This was the place where our base was created towards the goal to become successful environmental professionals. Everyone's heartiest effort to flourish our department was a touch of sensitivity somewhere in our minds. In this context, we could sense the warmth of motherly care of college authority towards our department and our students, be it excursion or seminar. Now it seems that they have given extra care to grow the weak saplings. One of the most remarkable things about our department was all the teachers who were and are gave us open field of free expressions, which ultimately helped to grow our habit of critical thinking through constructive arguments. Everything in the department we used we used freely from day one. Sir, madam may have wanted us to think of them as our own. The unfettered freedom has made an unprecedented contribution to the practical field of our later education life in one hand. On the other hand, it has made us responsible. We always had to carry our own bags in excursion. The rules for collection of samples were the same. Our teacher used to make a rule for all of us to stay together during those few excursion days. There was detailed discussion of what has been done for that day and what will be the task for the next day in the evening. Lots of laughter, stories, and sharing were also there. But we didn't even realize then that they used to ignite three flames of light at once in our mind, which are self dependence, discipline, and adjustment. The way our teachers gradually formed a clear idea about the subject, that the initial fear about this subject was gone away. We understood that if there is no clear idea, there is unreasonable fear, whether it is study or something else. All these qualities build harmony with the environment, help to feel the infinite gift of nature to survive in this planet, and force to think of the next generation with a generous mind. To survive in this world in a healthy, normal way, now and in the future, we need to understand nature more and love it more and have to maintain its normal stability. This is the demand of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankita, for your heartwarming speech. Now, I like to introduce our first speaker, Professor Shoma Mukherjee, Head Department of Environmental Science, University of Kalyani, Noida. She did a doctoral level research on transition chemistry of some ONS ligands, and postdoctoral research work was carried out at the ISCS Kolkata on coordination chemistry. She has published over 85 research papers and articles in various national and international journals. She has received fellowship under Indo-Swiss Bilateral Research Initiative Program 2007 and JUAF Research Fellowship under Indo-Swiss Joint Utilization of Advanced Facility Program 2011. She is also the life member of Indian Chemical Society and Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science. She has already handled major projects funded by DST, UGC, CSIR, NASI, etc., and acted as mentor of DST, CSIR, etc. funded projects. Now I heartily welcome our first speaker, Professor Shoma Mukherjee, to deliver her speech and presentation. Madam, please unmute.
Thank you for your nice introduction. Respected Vice Chancellor, Professor Manush Kumar Shandan, Principal of the College, S.R.Fatepuria College, Dr. Subhash Roy, Pinaki Bose, Head Department of Environmental Science, Dr. Milon Mondol, IQAC Coordinator, all distinguished guests, participants, and my dear students. First, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the organizing committee for this invitation. This state-level webinar entitled Environmental Sustainability and Conservation, Issues and Challenges may raise several emerging aspects of environmental concern in current scenario. It is a great opportunity for me to express my views in this scientific digital platform. And today, I would like to present a topic that is a roadmap for cleaner, for greener and cleaner environment. Just a minute, I am sharing. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Today, the topic of my lecture is a roadmap for greener and cleaner environment. We must be aware of all the environmental issues in current years, that is the climate change, pollution, population explosion, disaster, deforestation, resource depletion, biodiversity conservation, energy use, etc. And there are many other issues. So today the sustainability is a big challenge due to these several issues. This is a case we all know, that is the Minamata disease that happened in late 1950s due to the discharge of inorganic mercury chloride, which is a insoluble compound into the bay, and that is the fate of the mercury compound, that is the inorganic mercury compound transformed into several toxic, that is monomethyl mercury, dimethyl mercury, mercury elemental mercury, mercury oxide, mercury sulfide, due to microbial populations which are present in the aquatic body and the sunlight. Such type of transformations takes place. That is what I am trying to mention, that company discharge an insoluble mercury compound into the environment, but that insoluble or non-toxic form is converted into a highly soluble, highly toxic compound. So it is very important to know the fate and transport of the chemicals or compounds what we are using in our daily life. That is, it is quite important to achieve our sustainable development. This is another case, that is, we know the term, that is the Bhopal gas tragedy that happened in 1984 at the Union Carbide, India, and that is the world's worst industrial catastrophe in the world. And the main components which are responsible, that is the methyl isocyanate, MIC, and phosgene gas. These are the main two toxic chemicals which are responsible for the fatality of lakhs of people, and this is the impact, that is the figure that what happened, and till today they are suffering from genetic disorder. This is a very recent year case, that is in 2020 with Vizag gas leakage that happened in May 7 from the LG polymers in Visakhapatnam. That is the styrene gas leakage. What happened? That immediately people suffered from their breathing problems, chest constriction due to this gas. But administration and the management, they are capable to manage that situation very quickly. And very few fatalities are reported due to the urbanization, due to modernization of our techniques. That accident be able to manage. This is the color change of Taj Mahal, that is due to the gaseous emission of refineries. That is the color, original color of Taj Mahal is changing. We all know that. So sustainability is a question, that is no doubt about it. Then what is sustainability? That is the meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. It is according to the United Nations Brundtland Commission 1987. So what is our role? That is, the scientists and chemists must place a major focus on the environmental consequences of chemical products and the processes by which these products are made. That is very important. We should understand that. And we must lower our chemical ecological footprint by improving the prevailing technology. That is the main aspect. That is, we should think the design of the processes, what type of chemicals we are using, what should be the technology we should use to protect our environment. To understand the role of chemistry in sustainability. But the process should be sustainable. That should be the approach. We should consider several viewpoints. That is, one is the environmental quality. Two is the economic prosperity. That is also very important. Otherwise, the process should not be viable. And number three is the social well-being. That is also very important. Otherwise, if your products will not accepted by the society, then that will turn up into a waste. So these are the criteria of sustainable development. That is the environmental aspects, that is green productivity, energy conservation, biodegradable material, circular economy, and 5R concept, waste minimization, carbon footprint, clean development mechanism. The social aspect include legislation and enforcement, social capital, job opportunity, housing and service infrastructure, health and education, community participation and benefits. Economic aspects include green supply chain management, innovativeness of the process, product life cycle, that is very important, carbon trading, profitability, return on investment, GDP growth. All these factors should reach our sustainable goals. Then what is green technology? Green technology is a system that uses innovative methods to create an environmental friendly products. It uses renewable natural resources that never depletes, so future generation can also benefit from it. And it can effectively change waste pattern, that is very important, and production in a way that it won't harm the planet. So what is the goals of green technology? That is to reduce, to recycle, to refuse. That is, we should not use such type of chemicals or products like plastics. Renew, that is from plastic utilization by improving technologies. Responsibility, that is, it is our responsibility to achieve these goals. These are the major branches of green technology, which includes green chemistry, green energy, green information technology. Nowadays, we are all facing the importance of information technology. And this is an example, that is the virtual lecture I am delivering through this information technology, advanced information technology. Green building, green nanotechnology. So let us come to the point, that is the green chemistry or sustainable chemistry is the design of chemical products and processes that reduce or eliminate the use and generation of hazardous substances in order to minimize waste, to energy use and resource use, and to utilize renewable resources. That is, we should concentrate on renewable resources rather to explore non-renewable resources. In 1998, Paul T. Anastas introduced 12 principles of green chemistry. That is, the processes should be such so as to prevent waste, to introduce atom economy, to produce less hazardous chemical synthesis, to design safer chemicals and products, use of safer solvents and auxiliaries, design for energy efficiency, that is a very important issue, energy use of renewable feedstock, use of catalysts, reduce chemical derivatives, that is byproducts. We should not produce byproducts, design for degradation, what chemicals what we are using that should be biodegradable, real-time analysis to prevent pollution. That is, as and when there is some problem, immediately we are able to monitor that. And that's why sensor technology is very much important in this context, and in automobile sector, in industry, everywhere we are observing this application of the sensor technology, that is the automation or industry 4.0 in every manufacturing industry to prevent the pollution or to achieve the sustainable development goals. And inherently safer chemistry for accident prevention. This is the atom economy concept. In this figure, just have a look. That is in the first case. If you saw the first case, that is, this is the reactant part. There are two reactants, and these two reactants finally incorporated into the product. So there is no byproduct. But in the second case, what we observe, that there is a byproduct, and that is turned into a waste. So, if there are, suppose the examples, there are substitution reactions, there may be some elimination reaction, there may be some addition reaction, there may be some rearrangement reaction. In case of atom economy, for substitution reaction, it is less than 100 because there is some byproduct. It is atom economy in elimination reaction less than 100. In case of addition reaction, it is 100 because no byproduct. In case of rearrangement reaction, it is also 100 atom economy because no byproduct. So, according to this new concept or green chemistry concept, we should design for such type of synthesis that which give this 100% atom economy, so no waste will be generated. These are some examples. I am not going into detail. So major focuses of green chemistry is if you carry out the reaction in solid phase, that is solvent-free method, try to adopt solvent-free method. Then you can avoid the use of organic solvents that create huge pollution. Try to use green reagents, that is dimethyl carbonate, polymer supported reagents. Why polymer supported? Because if you incorporate some polymer base into your reagent or into your catalyst, then the boiling point increases and easily it can be recovered from the medium, and again you can reuse it. This is microwave assisted green synthesis, ultrasound assisted green synthesis, use of green catalyst like biocatalyst, phase transfer catalyst, polymer supported catalyst. This is the example of solvent-less reaction, that is simply by grinding it is possible to carry out the reaction. No solvent needed. This is microwave assisted reaction. What, just simple have a look that in conventional synthesis 72 hours is required for 75% conversion. But under microwave, 100% conversion takes place in only 10 minutes. Just imagine, only 10 minutes is required for 100% conversion. That's why side-by-side conventional synthesis, extensive researchers going on to develop these microwave assisted reactions, these ultrasound assisted reactions, because they require very less time to carry out the reactions and to increase the yield. These are the green reagents what I have discussed, that is dimethyl carbonate. It is not only a selective methylating agent but a green oxidant. We used polymer supported reagent like per-acids for epoxidation, chromic acid for oxidation, organotin dihydrate for reducing purposes, etc. And these are the green catalysts, that is biocatalyst, that is enzyme, use of enzymes as when possible. phase transfer catalyst, which includes quaternary salts, polymer supported catalyst. That is where we can easily recover from the medium. These are some examples that received Presidential Green Chemistry Award. That is the synthesis of ibuprofen. You know that ibuprofen is an ingredient, important ingredient for many antibiotic synthesis. And the conventional method, in the conventional method, the yield is only 40%. But under the green chemistry approach, considering the principles, Boots Chemical Company, they modified their process, and in this process, what we observed that only 3 steps, 1, 2, and 3. 3 steps are required for 77% yield, and minimum amount of reagents are required, only the green reagents, dimethyl carbonate, and some catalysts like Raney nickel, like palladium catalyst, etc. So it is a great achievement that not only helps to minimize the waste generation, but to increase the production and to minimize the cost, so we can achieve our goal. In Environmental Protection Agency, you know that US Environmental Protection Agency, they under their Design for Environmental DFE program, they recognizes liquid carbon dioxide. We know that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas and creating so much problem, but they actually recognizes this liquid carbon dioxide as a cleaning solvent instead of perchloroethylene, which is a highly toxic, environmentally harmful, and suspected carcinogen. So how it works, that is, you know that carbon dioxide has a critical temperature of 31.1 degrees centigrade, just 31.1 degrees centigrade. So in the ambient environment, it is gas, and under pressure, it is possible to liquefy carbon dioxide. But at this stage, carbon dioxide is capable to solubilize low molecular weight hydrocarbons. To increase the efficacy of this carbon dioxide or liquid carbon dioxide solvent, some carbon dioxide philic part and carbon dioxide phobic part is introduced to increase the efficacy or to get a mycelic structure. What happened actually, that at the end, this carbon dioxide philic chain fragment is there, which can arrest the polar molecules, and in the central part, that is the carbon dioxide phobic chain, that can arrest the that is high molecular weight hydrocarbon. So as a whole, after this surfactant addition, carbon dioxide is capable to solubilize both low molecular weight and high molecular weight hydrocarbons. And another important advantage is that by simply heating, carbon dioxide is converted into its gaseous form, and by increasing the pressure, you can solubilize. So you can recycle and reuse. So these are the advantage. This is another presidential award received this technology by DuPont, that is the introduction of HFCs, that is hydrofluorocarbons instead of CFCs, that is chlorofluorocarbons. You know that CFCs have high ODP values, high tropospheric lifetime, high hazards, but when we replace this carbon-chlorine bond by carbon-fluorine bond or carbon-hydrogen bond, then ODP value decreases. Because of the introduction of carbon-hydrogen bond, bond energy decreases. And the ODP value almost equal to 0. And the tropospheric lifetime decreases. That is the main advantage of the introduction of HFCs, and that's why they received the presidential award, because of this modification. This is another very real problem that we are facing today by the plastic waste, that is conventional source. We are exploring from crude oil, and from various modifications we are synthesizing the polyester that have wide applications in our day-to-day life. But DuPont Petritech polyester regeneration technology. Again, I am telling that is a regeneration technology that is converting the scrap polymer, what we are throwing out, these polymers into fast quality polymer. So there is no need to withdraw daily, that is the petroleum, our non-renewable resources, but we can reuse or recycle. That's why DuPont received that presidential award due to this polyester regeneration technology. There are some technology that is also received by DuPont, that is patented technology, that is synthesis of polyester from corn, that is biopolymer. There are biodegradable polymers. These are also another technology, that is synthesis of biodegradable polymer. These are the emerging biopolymers, several, that is people are working on this, that is searching for new biopolymers rather than non-degradable polymers. This is another application in the marine environment. You know that conventionally these tributyl tin compounds, that is organometallic tin compounds, are used as active biocidal compounds in anti-fouling paints. What is used in the that is the lower part of the ships or vehicles, vessels in the marine environment as wood preservatives, but it exhibits acute toxicity, teratogenicity, and immunotoxicity to the aquatic organisms. So what is the replacement? That is the achievement is to that is introduction of a chemical which is a heterocyclic compound and marketed as C9211 in 1995, that is less persistent and rapid biodegradation to non-toxic products, and half-life is less than 1 hour. It is low bioavailable, low bioconcentration, and the important is that environmental concentration is less than acute toxicity level. That is very important. And so the green chemistry is to reduce waste, materials, hazard, risk, energy, environmental impact, and cost. Now we have to understand that the products what we are using in our day-to-day life, what will be the life cycle of these products? So in order to understand that, we should understand the types of system boundaries. What actually the fate or of the chemical products? That is the cradle to gate boundary, cradle to grave boundary, gate to gate boundary, and cradle to cradle boundary. What is cradle to gate? That is starting from the raw material extraction to factory gate. Cradle to grave, that means from raw material extraction through product use and disposal. Gate to gate, that means from one defined point, starting point of manufacturing, to delivery point. Cradle to cradle, that is the most important to achieve our sustainable goal. That is, the product is recycled at the end of life rather than incineration and disposal. So that if we can take or adopt the cradle to cradle approach, then only we can transform our linear economy to circular economy, which is the main objective of our sustainable development goals. In linear economy, what happens? That is, raw materials after production, after use, converted to non-recyclable waste. In reuse economy, what happened? That is, raw materials after production, after use, converted to non-recyclable waste, but partly recyclable for further use. But in circular economy, the objective is to conversion of raw materials for production, then use, then 100% recycling, and again back to some other raw materials for production. So this is the application of the sensors at every point for real-time monitoring by smartphone applications, by app applications in our homes, in our cars, in our factories. By simply using app, we can push our technology and the market will pull it. And whenever a product is pulled by a market, then there will be no waste generation. And these are some certification or labels for green products that we can easily recognize that which product we should purchase. We are familiar with some labeling like Energy Star, that is 3-star, 5-star. In AC machines, we frequently observe that there are some labeling. In recycled marks, some where we find the recycled marks are there, bio-based marks are there, that is the bio-based products or materials. There are several marking for green products, that is the service certifications and the levels that we should know before purchase of things or products. And this is finally the framework and key policy across life cycle stages in India, focusing sustainable development goals, resource conservation, circular economy, and 5R. We start from the Stockholm Conference 1972, that is the basic environmental plan in India. Then enabling resource conservation and eco-friendly disposal practices of water, air, and waste products. That governed by the Plastics Manufacture Safe and Uses Rule, Municipal Solid Waste Management Rule, Battery Management Handling Rules, E-Waste Management Handling Rules, Biomedical Waste Management Handling Rules, Battery Rules, etc. Enabling resource efficiency during product design phase. That is the National Design Policy, Science, Technology, Innovation Policy, Bureau of Indian Standards. We have to follow or we have to abide by these rules or standards. Enabling resource efficient mining practices, that is National Mineral Policy, Sustainable Development Framework for Mining Sector in India, Minerals and Mining Development Regulatory Act, then enabling resource efficient consumption practices, that's governed by leveling scheme, what I am sure already. Renewable energy certification, perform active and trade scheme, auto fuel policy, National Electric Mobility Mission Plan, etc. Enabling resource efficient manufacturing, that is governed by National Manufacturing Policy, National Policy on Electronics, National Manufacturing Competitiveness Program, fund support to medium and small scale industries for zero defect, zero discharge certification scheme. Enabling practices of circulation of resources, products based on circular economy and 5R. That is fly ash utilization, batteries management, automobile standard, that is end of life vehicles, solid waste management, e-waste management, plastic waste management, hazardous and other waste management, and transboundary movement of hazardous waste. And finally, charting a resource efficient future for sustainable development, that is by National Regional Efficiency Policy 2019, that is in the draft stage and that is going on. So through these eco-friendly processes and practices, we will finally achieve our Sustainable Development Goals 2030, that is transforming our world. That should be our motto. And with these few words, I would like to thank all of you for your patience. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam, for your insightful presentation. In the interactive session, there will be an interactive session at the end of this webinar. If anyone has queries regarding the speech and presentation, one can ask their question at the end of this webinar. Those who are streaming on YouTube, they can write their question in the chat box, which will be discussed on the interactive
Okay.
session.
Yes, I think that will be better. You will write down and send the messages to me so that I can answer your questions.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you
Now,
very much.
Now I would like to introduce our next and last speaker, Professor Shantanu Chaudhuri, Assistant Professor, Department of Environmental Science, Ashutosh College, Kolkata. Before that, he was also faculty at Navadip Vidyasagar College. He pursued his PhD from University of Kolani and worked as CSIR Senior Research Fellow. He has several research publications in national and international journals related to environmental science, environmental chemistry, biochemistry, etc. Now, I heartily welcome our last speaker, Professor Shantanu Chaudhuri, to deliver his speech and presentation.
Thank you, Posali. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
It's my great pleasure to be a part of this seminar organized by S.R.Fatepuria College in presence of respected Vice Chancellor Sir, Professor Manoj Kumar Sannal, Professor Dr. Shoma Mukherjee Madam, respected Principal Sir, Professor Suhas Roy. At the outset, I thank all the faculty members and students present in this seminar, and many thanks to Dr. Milan Mondol, IQAC coordinator of this college, and Mr. Pinaki Bose to invite me in this seminar. Before I am going to discuss my topic, I will talk a few words on today's seminar topic, which is environmental sustainability and conservation, issues and challenges. Thank you, Madam Dr. Shoma Mukherjee, Madam, for your excellent speech on green chemistry and sustainability. Madam says how green technology is important for sustainable solution to improve our environment. Sustainability is a very broad term, which is often defined as how biological systems remain diverse and productive. But in this era, in 21st century, the definition of sustainability goes actually far beyond these narrow parameters. Today, it refers to the need to develop the sustainable models which is necessary for both human being as well as for the planet Earth to survive. And Madam already mentioned about the definition of sustainable development, which is mentioned in 1987 Brundtland Report, Our Common Future. There are three dimensions of sustainability, which are very essential. One is economic sustainability, social sustainability, and environmental sustainability. These three pillars should be interacted, and this interaction among these dimension, social dimension, environmental dimension, economic dimension actually leads us towards sustainability. There are 17 sustainable development goals as described by United Nations 2015 as a universal call to protect the earth. One of the goal is SDG goal 15 is called life on land, where it says human life depends on earth for the survival, sustenance, and livelihood. But we see that every year 30 million hectares of forest are being lost. Our rainforest is disappearing at an extraordinary rate. Data shows that one football field of rainforest is destroyed in every 6 seconds. And that's why we need to conserve the planet Earth and the resources of planet Earth. And in conclusion, I can say that biodiversity and wildlife conservation must be achieved to reach sustainable development. So I thought it is very necessary to understand the wildlife conservation issues, which is my topic today. Now I will share my presentation. Pinaki, please tell me whether is it visible or not.
Okay, I will.
Entire screen is not actually working.
Yeah, working. It's working.
Is it visible?
Visible.
Okay. So my topic is wildlife conservation in India, issues and challenges. Now, what is wildlife? We often term wildlife as tiger, elephant, lions, which is found in deep forest. But it's not like that actually. The term wildlife can be applied to all undomesticated life forms, including birds, insects, plants, fungi, even microscopic organisms that lives in their natural habitat. Or in other ways, we can say any animal or plants or organism that grow or live in the wild without any human interference. There are so many definitions of wildlife, and according to 1972 Wildlife Protection Act, which is very important act to protect wildlife, I have already given the definition according to Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So firstly, we have to understand the values and importance of wildlife. There are so many values of wildlife. The value of wildlife has been widely ignored or underrated, we can say, in the past. Earlier, it is thought that wildlife was considered from the limited aesthetic or touristic aspects. This situation was changed somewhat somewhere in 20th century. Now we know that every species has their role to play in the ecosystem. There are some use values and some non-use values, or some use values can be divided into direct values and indirect values. There are some consumptive use values, productive use values, option values. Option values means future use of any known and unknown benefits of any organism or wildlife organism. There are some non-use values like bequest values. Bequest values means satisfaction of knowing that future generation will have access to nature's benefits. There are some existence values. Suppose satisfaction of knowing that a species or ecosystem exists in the wild. Okay, there are so many values and importance of wildlife in a system. I am giving you an example. What would be without bees? What if bees going extinct? There are about 20,000 species of bees in the world, and they are probably the most important insect pollinators. And they pollinate 70 of the around 100 crop species that feed 90% of the world. That means if bees don't exist, we may lose all the plants that bees pollinate and all the elements that eat those plants, and it affect up in the food chain, the whole food chain and in the whole ecosystem, which means a world without bees, Earth could struggle to sustain the population or global population, which is around 7.9 billion today. You can read various research papers related to world without bees in internet. So every tiny living organisms or wildlife in this planet has a role to play in a larger ecosystem. Next, status of wildlife in India. This is very important to know the status of wildlife in India. India has some of the world's most biodiverse ecozones. We have desert, high mountains, highlands, tropical and temperate forest, grassland, iceland, everything we have got. There are 10 biogeographic zones, which I have shown in the slide, that are distinguished clearly in India according to the biogeographic characteristics, which is subdivided into 25 biogeographic provinces, which makes India one of the world's richest countries in terms of biological diversity. We can say around 8% of the total number of species in the world present in the India. India is also one of the 17 mega diversity country of the world. The countries which have very high biological diversity is termed as mega diversity countries such as Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Venezuela, Brazil, etc. And from now, about 70% of the geographical area has been surveyed so far, and it was found that 45,000 plant species and 91,000 animal species around, it is not an exact value, have been documented, which represents about 7% of the world flora and around 6.5% of the world fauna. And in terms of endemism, India is also rich. India's position is 10th in terms of birds endemism, 5th in terms of reptiles, and 7th in terms of amphibians. Endemism, endemic species means species found only in the particular geographical area. Suppose Andaman teal, Andaman pigeon is found in Andaman Nicobar Island. Asiatic lion found in Gir forest. Kashmir stag found in Kashmir Valley. Lion-tailed macaw found in Western Ghats. These are endemic species. Okay. This endemic species also related to the hotspot of biodiversity. I have forgot to mention. India has total 4 biodiversity hotspot region, which is one is Himalayan region, Indo-Burma region, Western Ghat, and Sunderlands. There are total 35 biodiversity hotspot, which covers 2.3% of the Earth's land surface. But they have 50% of the world's plant species and almost 40% of the terrestrial vertebrate species. Now, new species is very interesting. Every year, scientists, photographers who travel through India's wild terrains to survey the health of our ecosystem or wildlife, when they get lucky, they discover some new species too. There are some new species discovered recently in India. New eel species found in Mumbai, 3-veined rose finch, a bird species found in Arunachal Pradesh in 221, screw species found in Andaman Island in 2021, and this chocolate border filter, this was found a guy named Sonam Wangchuk in Sikkim. His passion was watching butterflies and take pictures of them. One day he took picture of this butterfly and sent it to a friend in Central of Biological Sciences, which is called NCBS. And he was informed that this was a new species, not previously documented. So every year, new species are adding to the rich biodiversity of Indian subcontinent. And India has added 557 new faunal species in 2020 as a document, as per document published recently by the Geological Survey of India. Now, before we come to conservation issues, what are the main threats of wildlife or biodiversity? Main threats are mentioned here. There are few places left on the planet where the impact of people or anthropogenic activities has not been felt. We have explored and left our footprint on every corner of the globe. Our population increases day by day, our developmental activity increases, and we are leaving less and less room for wildlife. And wildlife are under threat for many different kind of human activities, such as destroying habitat, invasive species spreading disease, developmental activities, mining, poaching, hunting, excessive tourism. These are the main threats. But according to the data given in the right side, it is showing that the major threat of wildlife decrease is over-exploitation of resources. This data given by in the Biodiversity Journal 2016. This over-exploitation is indirectly causing habitat destruction, habitat fragmentation, habitat loss, etc. Everything is related to this over-exploitation of resources. It creates pollution, it causes climate change, everything. So I will discuss some of the effects in detail. Suppose one of the reason is of wildlife decrease is habitat loss, and habitat fragmentation is an important concept which I would like to discuss. Habitat fragmentation. What is habitat fragmentation? Splitting up a continuous habitat to several smaller discontinuous patches due to maybe some unplanned or unsustainable developmental activities. Due to habitat fragmentation, this is the picture of habitat fragmentation or habitat a corridor actually. This is a picture of different type of corridor. This is the linear corridor, landscape corridor, and this is the stepping stone corridor. What is corridor? Corridor is the passage from where the larger animals actually migrate for various reasons. Now, due to habitat fragmentation, what is happening? The habitats are subdivided into smaller units, fragmented by roads, maybe by railway attack, by dams, by agricultural field, or some developmental activities. Now, this important wildlife corridor is also connected to habitat fragmentation. Due to lack of connectivity or destruction, that corridor population become isolated, and the population become isolated in the restricted location, and this causes actually extinction, leads to local extinction in patches, but local extinction of species. Inbreeding between different metapopulation will become difficult, and it also leads to loss of genetic variation. Another big threat in India today is poaching and hunting. We all know that wild animals are being poached on a massive scale. Millions of individual animals worldwide killed or captured from their native habitats regularly. Poachers sometimes kill or capture animals to sell them locally or for the global trade in wildlife. You know that wildlife trading is a major black market that is increased day by day in Asia. Incident of wildlife poaching in India have more than doubled during the COVID-19 lockdown, including 9 leopards being killed during this lockdown. According to the study, this study was conducted by that NGO called Traffic. Here you can see the data given by WPSI, tiger and leopard poaching statistics from 1994 to 2020. Although it's showing a downward trend, but still in 2020, almost 40 tigers killed, which is very alarming according to the Wildlife Protection Society of India, WPSI. In Maharashtra, it shows the poaching increases significantly in recent years. These are some pictures of rescued pangolin and scales of elephant tusk, some skins of tiger, and this is the famous picture in the right side where nearly 2,500 rare rhino horns were destroyed on a day mistaken by Wednesday. Day is World Rhino Day, 22nd September 2021 in Assam, Kaziranga. There is some data which shows that over 30,000 wildlife crimes and mortality have been recorded till December between 2015 to 16. There are so many data.
Sorry for interruption. I can't see the picture.
Okay, now you see that?
Yes, now.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
What I'm saying that over 10,000 pangolins captured illegally every year in whole world. So poaching and hunting is increasing day by day in India and in all over the world. During COVID-19 period, I would like to say a few things. During lockdown, many restrictions imposed, which is also called some conservationist by anthropologists. Many researchers believe that it healed the environment actually. In Uttarakhand, some deer are spotted walking in the streets. Some peacocks dance in the streets of Mumbai. And people can see in the Himalayas first time in decades from Punjab. I'm not saying that the lockdown is good, but it indicates that the amount of threats, pollution, or disturbances we are imposing on nature. The coronavirus lockdown is a lesson for humans to rethink their relationship with the nature. Okay, is visible endangered species of animal slides?
Yes.
Now, a number of animals and plants have been listed as possibly extinct in the latest edition, which is published by IUCN Red List of Threatened Species 2021. Some species like coconut crab, Siberian cranes are said to be extinct. And in India, a total number of 199 species are under critically endangered species, IUCN Red List 2021. Here are some list of endangered species. You can see that snow leopard. Snow leopard is perhaps the most endangered species of the large cats, and estimated population is between 400 to 700 individuals. It stays in 5 Himalayan states in India, and this species suffers from intense conflict with the rural communities and habitat degradation. The red panda, the loss of nesting trees, actually their nesting trees is bamboo, which is decline day by day, which is causing a decline of red panda population across the forest. You see here the Asiatic lion. Asiatic lion were once distributed up to the state of West Bengal. It was found in Haryana, some Patna, Punjab, but recently, at present, Gir National Park is the only place where you can find Asiatic lion. Okay. You can see lion-tailed macaw, which is being hunted for their meat and fur, resulting the species being listed as endangered, with less than approximately 2,000 individuals left in the wild, only in the Western Ghat. Hangul, the state animal of Jammu Kashmir, is only found in Disigam National Park, Jammu Kashmir. And the biggest challenge of this species is habitat fragmentation. I have already discussed earlier. Predation, loss of habitat from overgrazing and pollution. So endangered species of animal, list of endangered species or vulnerable species is increasing day by day. Now coming to the conservation measures, wildlife conservation of India has a long history, actually, dating back to the colonial period, where it was rather very restrictive to only targeted species, and that too in a definite geographical area. Then the formation of Wildlife Board at the national level and enforcement of the Wildlife Act 1972 laid the foundation of the present day wildlife conservation era, actually. I have already given the definition of wildlife conservation. There are some laws or legal provisions which actually protects our wildlife from various states. It started from actually the 42nd amendment I have mentioned here, the Article 48 and 51G. This actually laid the foundation. These are the directives, principle of the state, and one is duties of citizen. Article 51AG is the duties of citizen, which describes tells the citizen or state to protect and improve the natural environment, which includes forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife. And then in India, there are various laws for regulation for the conservation of life as well as overall biodiversity. In this, most important is Wildlife Protection Act 1972. In Wildlife Protection Act 1972, there is a provision of prohibition of hunting, protection and management of wildlife habitats. Actually, this act guides the formation of national parks, sanctuaries, tiger reserve, and conservation reserve, etc. And there are some conservation societies in India who also works for the conservation purposes in India. There are some these names. I have given some names of these societies. So we have the law to protect wildlife, but implementation of law is another big issue. Other than legal options, there are various ways to protect our wildlife. Methods used for the conservation may be divided into mainly two parts. You all know that in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. I'm not going to discuss it very broadly. In situ conservation means on-site conservation, and off-site conservation means ex situ conservation. In situ conservation is divided into national park, sanctuary, biosphere reserve, community reserve. Jim Corbett is the first national park established in India in 1936. There are some new concepts coming in for the wildlife conservation, like eDNA concept. This is very recent concept, which says that which is also called, which is full form is environmental DNA. The concept is DNA floating in the air can potentially monitor and identify terrestrial animals. DNA can float from the movable or moving terrestrial animals, larger animals, and from this floating DNA, we can track these animals, and which can boost wildlife conservation efforts across the world. There are some species-based conservation projects in India, which are actually thought to be endangered, like Project Tiger, Project Elephant, Crocodile Conservation Project. Now, there are lots of species conservation projects, but most important is Project Tiger, which is launched in 1973, initiated in 1972, and we saw that the impact of Project Tiger population has increased steadily from the year 2006. This is the data. And annual rhino population poaching in Assam is also decreased after the Indian Rhino Vision 2020. And tiger and rhinos and other population of endangered animals are also steadily but slowly recovering by the impact of this project conservation, species-based conservation projects. Now, what are the challenges? I have discussed various legal options, conservation techniques, species-based projects, which are very effective for maintaining wildlife biodiversity of our country. But there are lots of challenges which we have to overcome to achieve our required goal. Between 2018 and 20, about 2,000 cases were registered for killing and illegal trafficking of wild animals in India. In spite of this legal option, in these 3 years, about 4,000 accused were arrested for the crime. The laws enacted with the objective of protecting and conserving wildlife, and there are strict provisions, but the relevance of law is judged by its outcome. In 2016, it was discovered that a notorious wildlife trafficker with international links had smuggled the body parts over 125 tigers and 1,200 leopards, and each of the convicts was sentenced to 4 years imprisonment and fine of 10,000, which is very less. So the fine and punishment provisions in our law is not enough to stop these wildlife crimes. What I'm trying to say. And there are various challenges to these conservation issues. Suppose reduction of human-animal conflicts is another issue. Human-animal conflict can have many reasons, and it have various negative impacts on rural Indian communities, which is increasing frequency of animal attacks on both humans and their cattle and or their pet, and have made these communities less tolerant towards the wildlife, which is very dangerous. Mitigation of human-wildlife conflict is become a very important issue of concern for both wildlife managers and the scientific community. Recent years, 186 elephants killed on railway tracks in over 10 years. MOFCC, according to MOFCC, Ministry of Environment and Forest. So these trail lines become a death trap now. So this is a challenge how railway expansion project inside the forest area will work. Recently, central government approves 140 hectares of Goan forest of railway project. Another Sebok Rongpo railway project in Sikkim, which will reportedly affect over 40,000 people and the wildlife present in this area. So this railway expansion project is a big issue to conserve wildlife. And another various challenges include involvement of the local communities for conservation, uncontrolled trading, control of illegal trading, habitat loss and restriction prevention, public awareness generation. These are the challenges, main challenges. Now, what are the probable measures and solution? দেখা যাচ্ছে পিনাকি? Can you see it?
না,
Actually full screen করলে চলে যাচ্ছে, আমি full screen করতে যাচ্ছি because there is some animations. Okay, I will delete this picture.
okay, it's now fine.
Okay. Now, what are the probable measures and solutions? We need to create more protected area network. We have various protected area network, but we need to create more protected area network and manage them properly. Not only creation, management of protected area network is very necessary. Government should implement new species-based project for the species facing risk of extinction, like pangolin, Asiatic wild dog, Sangai deer, which is the state animal of Manipur, lion-tailed macaw, which are threatened due to habitat loss. Around the globe, over the globe, indigenous people and local communities have always protected nature. So we should always include the indigenous people or communities for the conservation purpose. Ecotourism is another solution. The main principle of ecotourism is that it makes a little or less environmental impact as possible and helping to preserve the biodiversity. Tourists visit natural areas, which generate extra jobs and income for the local people. Ecotourism is thought to help conserve wildlife by making local people value biodiversity. It helps to preserve the ecosystem as well. Public awareness is the actually key to success of all conservation measures. Here is a picture of Singchung Bugun Village Community Reserve. This is a big story. I'm not going to discuss. You could search it. What are the role of the Bugun community for conservation? Actually, the Forest Department and DFO started involving Bugun community for the conservation purpose of the 17 square kilometer area in this region in 2016. This project started in 2016, and this is highly successful model, and they are awarded for their work in 2018 Indian Biodiversity Award, which is the highest quality award regarding biodiversity. And this species in the right, it is critically endangered species named after this Bugun community to respect them. And I have included a picture of this. I have already deleted. This is the 23-year-old photographer who took pictures of endangered fireflies. I have just deleted for full screen view. So photography is another part of conservation. I think I have no time to discuss this issue. Now, what are the individual responsibilities? This is very important part of my slide. What are the individual responsibilities which can change our perspective towards the wildlife conservation issues? Here are the some point I have written. Buy responsibly. Buy responsibly means do not buy or purchase products made from endangered animals, parts of endangered animals or their parts, like elephant tusk, rhino horns, rhino skin. There are lots of products available in the market near jungle and near forest, which is made from these animal parts or body parts. If we purchase them, we are creating demand. So we actually encouraging the poaching and hunting of the wild animal. speak up, share your passion for wildlife conservation with your family, with your friends, in your village. Tell your friends how they can help to the wildlife. Uh, don't use herbicide and pesticides in your garden or your backyard for beautification purpose, because these pesticides impact is havoc on the wildlife. We know that the snakes, snails are drastically reduced in the village areas due to use of pesticides. Always share your excitement for the nature and wildlife. Motivate other people to read up the wildlife issues, respect wildlife, and be serious about the protection of species and habitats. Habitat destruction is one of the main threats of the wildlife. So try to restore in your area by planting native trees, not just fascinating flowering trees, planting native trees, restoring ponds in your area, wetlands in your area. This will give a new era of wildlife conservation if the people are aware. Now, and lastly, find any organization that speaks to your passion for wildlife and get involved and become a member. There are lots of things an individual can do. I'm just pointing out some of the things. Now, at last, there is always a hope for the better society, which will lead us towards sustainable world. I will share just one story. This is the picture of Nandakishore Bhujbal. Someone may know that who actually visited Mangalajori. There is a place called Mangalajori in Odisha, which is very famous for migratory birds. This Nandakishore Bhujbal was once a poacher in 1960s to 70s in his youth, and it was a common practice in this area. And locals saw nothing wrong with it. They earned easy money, and villagers poisoned the lake plantation at night, and in the morning they catch the birds. It happens indiscriminately actually for a long time. Forest department also unable to improve the situation. Then somehow he decided to quit hunting in 1996 and started speaking with villagers after protecting about the protection of birds, stopping the killing. He talks about the alternative income generation. He also spread fear among villagers about legal actions, and some NGOs took this opportunity and helped Nandakishore in his noble cause, and it worked very effectively. And now lots of migratory birds are charming around the lake in the winter season, and with him many poachers are working as guide in this area. So and there is another story of Anil Mistry, who is in Sundarban. That is the same type of story. He was a poacher in previous days, and he and his friends are working to protect biodiversity of this region in Sundarban. Now I will end my lecture with a hope for the better future. Thank you for all for listening to my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Shantanu Chaudhuri, for this informative presentation. Now, I'm pleased to announce that we already have a message regarding this webinar from the Controller of Examination, University of Kalyani, Dr. Bimalendu Vishwas. On behalf of Sir, I'm going to read this message in front of you. I'm delighted to learn that S.R.Fatepuria College is going to organize a state-level webinar on 19/1/2022 at 11 a.m. The topic of the webinar, Environmental Sustainability and Conservation Issues and Challenges, is relevant to a large extent to the
Now you are audible.
Okay. Major environmental issues may include climate change, pollution, environmental degradation, and resource depletion. Challenges of environmental sustainability are global warming due to carbon dioxide emission, air pollution, and water contamination, pollution of ocean, seas, and inland water. The conservation is necessary for protection of endangered species, ecologically valuable nature areas, genetically modified foods, and global warming. We should promote environment conservation by reducing unnecessary use of energy like electricity, air conditioner, refrigerator, misuse of water, etc. Environmental sustainability may be improved in workplace also by reducing waste production and implementing recycling program. Sustainability improves the quality of our lives, protects our ecosystem, and preserves natural resources for future generation. Going green maximize the benefits from an environmental focus in the long term. I would expect that the webinar will disseminate information and generate awareness and enrich the participants by having new ideas from resource persons. At last, I appreciate the endeavor of the planner and organizer, express my thanks to all concerned and reform the webinar's success. Thank you so much, sir, for this heartwarming well wishes. Thank you so much. Now the interactive session is open to all. If anyone has any query regarding any presentation, can directly ask their question to respective speakers. If anyone has any query.
Paushali, I have a question for Shoma madam.
Okay.
Okay.
Madam, green chemistry is cost effective or not?
অ্যাকচুয়ালি গ্রিন কেমিস্ট্রি ইজ কস্ট, সেটা তো ডিপেন্ড করবে কিভাবে ডিজাইন করছি আমরা তার উপরে, কিন্তু ইনিশিয়ালি এটা কস্টলি হলেও ইন লং রান সিমস ইজ দ্য বেনিফিট টুয়ার্ডস এনভায়রনমেন্ট। কাজেই সেটা কিন্তু ধরো আমি বলছি যে ইলেকট্রিক্যাল অ্যাপ্লায়েন্সেসে আমরা কি দেখছি যে এখন যে আগের যে রেফ্রিজারেটর বা আগে যে এয়ার কন্ডিশনার যেগুলো ব্যবহার করা হতো তার যে ইলেকট্রিসিটি বিল হচ্ছে, এখন যদি কেউ এয়ার কন্ডিশনার কেনে ধরো 3 স্টার বা 5 স্টারে, তার ইলেকট্রিসিটি বিল কিন্তু অনেক কম। কাজে ইনিশিয়ালি হয়তো টাকাটা একটু বেশি দিতে হচ্ছে টু পারচেজ স্টার রেটিং এসি মেশিন, বাট ইন লং রান ডে টু ডেতে কিন্তু তোমার ইলেকট্রিসিটি বিল কম আসছে। কাজে সেইভাবে তো তুমি বলতে পারো যে কস্টটা কমছে। তার নট এটা সমস্ত পারপাসে যে আমার যে হার্বাল প্রোডাক্ট গুলো ব্যবহার করছি, সিন্স তাদের রিসোর্সটা কম, ইনিশিয়ালি তাদের মার্কেট ভ্যালুটা বেশি হচ্ছে, কিন্তু আমি দেখছি যে আমার যে অন্য যে হ্যাজার্ডস গুলো সেটাকে আমি মিনিমাইজ করতে পারছি। কাজে হার্বাল প্রোডাক্টস এর যে ডিমান্ড, সেই ডিমান্ডটা বেড়ে যাচ্ছে রাদার দ্যান সিনথেটিক প্রোডাক্ট।
মানে এখন দেখা যাচ্ছে কি কস্ট এফেক্টিভ বেশি হলেও লোকজন কিন্তু মানে ব্যাপারগুলোকে অ্যাবজর্ব করছে। তারা 5 স্টার এসিও কিনছে, তারা হার্বাল জিনিসও ইউজ করছে, মানে বেশি কস্ট হলেও তারা জিনিস করছে। তারপর রিসাইকেল করা যাবে এমন
এই অ্যাপ্রোচটা কিন্তু আমাদের মধ্যে এসে যাচ্ছে যে আমরা কিন্তু এখন কেউ দেখো যে ছোট মানে খুব যে রুরাল লো ইকোনমিক গ্রুপ হোক, তারাও কিন্তু কটনটাকে প্রেফার করছে রাদার দেন পলিয়েস্টার, যেটা আগে হয়তো তারা পলিয়েস্টার বা সিনথেটিক মেটেরিয়াল ব্যবহার করতো যেগুলো চিপ, কিন্তু নাও উই আর নট ইউজিং দ্যাট ভেরি মাচ। মানে উই প্রেফার আমরা সিনথেটিক মেটেরিয়ালের থেকে আমরা প্রেফার করছি কটন মেটেরিয়াল, এবং যারা ধরো একটু হাই ক্লাস গ্রুপ দে প্রেফার আরো ব্র্যান্ডেড কটন যেগুলো প্রচুর এক্সপেন্সিভ, তাহলেও আমরা কিনছি। যেগুলো মার্কেট ডিমান্ড আছে, মানে উই আর প্রেফারিং কমফর্ট। সেটা কেন হচ্ছে যে ইকো ফ্রেন্ডলি, বায়োডিগ্রেডেবল, এগুলো তো আছেই ফ্রম দ্য এনভায়রনমেন্টাল পয়েন্ট অফ ভিউ। তারপরে হচ্ছে আমাদের সোশ্যাল অ্যাকসেপ্টেন্স, দ্যাট ইজ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট, আওয়ার বিহেভিয়ার, যে আমি কোনটাকে অ্যাডপ্ট করব, আমি কোনটাকে অ্যাডপ্ট করব না। দ্যাট ইজ অলসো ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। কাজে এগুলোকে দেখা যাচ্ছে যে এখন আমাদের সোসাইটি কিন্তু এই যে বললাম যে সাস্টেনেবিলিটির যে তিনটে আসপেক্ট, যে একটা হচ্ছে এনভায়রনমেন্টাল পয়েন্ট অফ ভিউ, একটা হচ্ছে সোশ্যাল পয়েন্ট অফ ভিউ, আর একটা হচ্ছে ইকোনমিক পয়েন্ট অফ ভিউ। হ্যাঁ, কাজে তিনটে আসপেক্টই কিন্তু মোটামুটি একটা সাস্টেনেবল ফিউচার সেটাকে কিন্তু অ্যাকসেপ্ট করছে। আস্তে আস্তে কিন্তু আমরা ওদিকে যাচ্ছি। আমার ইন্ডাস্ট্রি যদি দেখি, অটোমেশন অফ ইন্ডাস্ট্রি হচ্ছে, আজকে আমরা টোটালি শিফট করছি টু দ্য ভার্চুয়াল মোড। সে কারণে হোক অকারণে হোক আমরা কিন্তু বাধ্য হয়েছি এটাতে শিফট করতে, যে টু মিনিমাইজ অর টু ট্যাকল দ্য সিচুয়েশন। কাজে এটাও কিন্তু আমার একটা অ্যাডভান্সমেন্ট ইন টেকনোলজি। যে গ্রিন টেকনোলজি মানে এই নয় যে সবসময় বায়ো অরিজিনাল প্লান্ট নিয়ে আমি কিছু একটা করবো, তা কিন্তু নয়, বাট ইট ইজ ফর দ্য সেক অফ দ্য এনভায়রনমেন্ট, যে যেটা আমার বেটারমেন্ট হবে এনভায়রনমেন্টে।
হ্যাঁ, একদমই তাই। ঠিক আছে, ওকে ম্যাম, থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ।
ওকে, ওয়েলকাম।
Any other queries?
Posali, I have a question to Shantanu sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Migratory birds which came from other countries, can it be included in wildlife database in India?
Yes, of course we can include this database in Indian database. আমরা include করতেই পারি। Actually, the migratory birds came from different countries in winter season. Suppose a bird called common stone chat coming from Siberia and Turkey. Red-crested pochard found in Purbostoli Oxbow Lake. They found from Siberia or northern region. Greater flamingo. There are many species coming from Europe or northern region to avoid the extreme cold or some other purpose. They actually stays here for 4 to 5 months, and they breeds here. They actually feeds their baby here. So we can always include these migratory species in our database, Indian database.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Follow me.
Hello, sir.
Follow me.
Yes, sir.
This is my question to Sir Shantanu Chaudhary.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
In the context of Sundarbans, you have told that the wildlife is being decreased, not only Sundarbans but also entire the India. But from very early time, this is my inquiry that Sundarban is decreasing continue. And according to the decreasing of Sundarbans, this was the problem of that. The number of tigers are being decreased from this forest. And some days ago, also all the famous persons, such as you know that Amitabh Bachchan to Saurav Ganguly, they have given the advertisement that save the tiger and save the tiger. But it was the problem that they did not see that single time save the human beings. But I know that without tiger, it was not possible to stay the Sundarbans constant, because tiger saved the Sundarbans from the poaching, from the hunting, and to save the plants of different trees of Sundarbans. But at present, you know that maximum people who are engaged with fishing, who are engaged with in different works, and who are collecting their bare necessities of life from the forest, they are always endangered by the attack of tigers. But nobody can say that, not save the human beings, but they are telling that save the tigers. But sir, this is my question to you. What life is essential, tiger life or human life? Of course, I know that there is no alternative income way of the people of there by which they are going to the forest for their earnings. But this is my question to you, that which life is essential? Everybody said that tiger save, but nobody can save the human beings. So this is my question to you, that which life is very essential for us?
No, actually, in Sundarban, this is a whole ecosystem which actually includes this human being, tigers, and other species. There is no, we cannot differentiate this. We actually value the tiger or value the human species. There is a coexistence between these two species. You are talking about the people who are actually collecting honey from the inside the core area. which is actually illegal, but they have no other choice. Somewhere they have no other choice or no other alternative job, alternative income source. That's why they are going to this forest. And on the other hand, tiger, Sundarban forest, mangrove forest is the home of tiger. So you can blame the tiger why you have attacked the people who are coming to core area for honey collection. So there should be a coexistence between this human and tiger conflict. I have already discussed the man-animal conflict is increasing, and Sundarban is actually different from other regions in the North Bengal region or other regions. Man-animal conflict issue is different, but in Sundarban, the tigers is coming somewhere. Somehow coming to the villages in some days, and somewhere the people coming going to the forest for the collection of the honey and other purposes. So we have to actually develop a proper management strategy, how these people who are actually going to the core area, risking their lives, how can we give them alternative source of income so that they cannot enter the forest. And somehow we have to stop the habitat fragmentation, which is the main reason which is the main reason where tiger coming to villages for the food availability or fresh water availability, etc. So there should be a management strategy from the government or forest official, and in Sundarban lots of people are working on the behavior of the tiger and how to mitigate these conflicts. Actually, if you saw the news yesterday, 161 or 165 camera trapping has been included in the tiger reserve to track the migration behavior or migratory pattern of tiger, because there is some issues in recent past in the last 2 months where tiger coming to villages. So this is a long-term strategy we have to develop for the alternative income generation of the people. So we cannot say that we have no value to human, or we have only value tiger species. There are always values for people and values for tiger in other species.
Thank you, sir. Polami.
Yes, sir.
So my another question, so Professor Shoma Mukherjee.
Okay.
Madam, thank you, madam, for your excellent lecture. And this is my question. This is my question to you that the industrialization is continue going, and by the industrialization, you know that the different types of poisonous gases are extracted from the industry, and we use the different fertilizers for the development of the agricultural production. But when we use the different chemical fertilizers, pesticides for the development of the agriculture, in that time always the environment is damaged. So will we stop our development to protect our environment? This is my question.
No, actually, that's why.
Madam, my question is, that what will be the ratio of development and use of different types of technology by which we will produce industrial productions and agricultural productions?
Industrial production and agricultural production, these are all part of industry. That's why I'm telling that the pollution problem mainly occurring from the industrial sector. That includes automobile sector, huge agricultural practices in current years, as well as the manufacturing industries. All contribute to the pollution. But the point is that with the conventional system, we are facing so much problem. That is the environmental issues like environmental pollution, climate change, everything. And now we are searching for the alternatives, and that's why we are going for the eco-friendly approaches. We are trying to minimize our resources, because resource depletion is another important issue. We are going for the biofertilizers, biopesticides instead of chemical pesticides, or if we use chemical pesticides, in that case we concentrate on their lifetime. That is the suppose instead of organochlorine pesticides, which is now banned, we are preferably use organophosphorus pesticides, which is the lifetime is less. We are using HFCs, hydrofluorocarbon, instead of CFCs, because CFC has lifetime of 400 to 500 years. So that's why what I am telling you, we are searching for alternatives for the sake of our environment. And it is true for all sectors, not only for the agricultural sector, all industrial sector, because we can't stop our modernization, our urbanization. কারণ এখন যদি আমরা গ্রামেও ফিরে যাই, আমরা গ্রামের ওই পরিবেশটা পাবো না। গ্রাম অলরেডি চেঞ্জ হয়ে গেছে। We can't space open space. That is, we have to adopt with the present system, and we have to modernize, or we have to adapt new technologies, eco-friendly technologies, for the sustenance of the, that is the environmental sustenance.
Madam, eco-friendly technology, if we use, so we will get the proper production?
Yes.
Because you know that in our, actually I'm coming from village area, by which already you know that when we will use the cow dung cake for the production of agriculture, and in that time also when we use the chemical fertilizer, in that time of course you know that when we will use the chemical fertilizer, in that time also we will get the better production than the organic.
Yes, that you have to add the environmental cost. Because from the herbal product, it is not possible to actually replace the total demand of our country. That's why still you are using coal as a power source. Although we know that there are huge pollution from the thermal power station, but we can't switch over to the alternative power source like that is the nuclear fuel or the renewable sources of energy. We can't that is switch over to the renewable source, but we have to concentrate on the fossil fuel energy, because that is, we are developing countries, and developed countries are using the atomic energy.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, madam. Any other queries from anyone? Okay, I'm handing over to Alimura Khatun, Faculty, Department of Environmental Science, to raise the queries from the viewers on YouTube.
Thank you very much. Thank you all the respected speakers for their informative lectures. Participants can now ask their queries through Google Meet and YouTube as well. Well, there are some questions from YouTube viewers. From the first question we are taking from Protima Biswas to Professor Shoma Mukherjee ma'am. Can green chemistry be used for tackling the plastic pollution problem in India? Ma'am, please unmute, ma'am.
Hello, thank you for your question. Because plastic waste is really a challenging issue nowadays, and now the technologies are improving. One is to recycle the plastics and to get the that is the first quality polymers, so that we can again produce our essential goods. That I have shown you, that is the polyester regeneration technology that I have shown you in my in our presentation, in my presentation. And secondly is the if that is recycling is one thing. One is the reuse it. That is, suppose the plastic bottles regular day by day we are using, without throwing it, if we can convert it into some usable items, some decorative items, then only then also it cannot turn into a waste product. it is possible to convert it into an usable item. Third thing is that without using this that is non-biodegradable polyester, if you use biopolymers or synthesize biopolymers starting from some plants like corns, etc., then it is possible to obtain the biodegradable polymers. And in that case, there is no environmental hazard. But the amount is that is can't satisfy the demand that the society immediately have from the biopolymer. There are so many researches are going on to develop different types of biopolymers to satisfy our demands. So from the conventional polymers, either we have to recycle it, that is scrap polymer, to first quality polymer and again reuse it. Then from plastic bottles, we can convert it some usable items. And then other option is to synthesize biopolymers from innovative or green technologies. That I have shown you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Another question from Pratik Banerjee. How practical is the idea of sustainable and conservation in a developing country like India, keeping in mind our country's economy and demography?
Yes, that is also a very interesting question, but all the processes, that is, nowadays we are talking about we are all students, that is, we are talking of environment, we are aware of the environmental issues, different issues, that is pollution, that is climate change, we are facing all these things. So we have to think about our sustainable future. We have to think. And for developing countries, for underdeveloped countries, these are all challenges. But we have to tackle all these challenges by compromising, some compromise. That is either from the social aspect, either from the economic aspect, or from the environmental aspect. That's why we are talking about the green technologies, which includes the eco-friendly methods, eco-friendly practices, although we have some constraint, but we have to adopt for the sake of our environment, for our sustainable future. In developing countries also, we are now going for the renewable resources, that is the renewable power. We are going for the solar energy. We are going for the biomass energy, for wind energy. In South India, you know that they are producing huge wind energy. In solar energy in Gujarat, there are solar plants. In Purulia, in our state, there are 1,000 megawatt hydropower energy, that is a very German technology, and in Asia that is the second largest hydrothermal power plant that is the pump storage hydrothermal unit in Purulia that generates 1,000 megawatt renewable energy. So we know that we have constraint, but we should adopt the technologies to sustain for sustainable future.
Okay, ma'am.
I think it's clear.
Yes, ma'am. Have another questions from Sukanto Ghosh to Professor Shantanu Chaudhuri. The question is, you have mentioned our community reserve. What is it? Sir, please unmute, sir.
You know the concept of national park or biosphere reserve or sanctuary. Community reserve is actually different from this national park or sanctuary. This is the place, actually buffer region of this national park or sanctuary. Or we can say that there is, suppose there are two national parks. In between, there is a region which is the migratory road of the elephants or larger mammals. So this tract should be protected. This migratory tract or in between path of two national park is termed as community reserve. So basically this is the either it is buffer zone or it is the migratory route, migratory path or connective path between two or more national park or sanctuaries. This is actually included in the 1972 Protection Act after the amendment in 2002. and these areas actually under the government control, but some communities or villages may exist in this region. So community-based conservation issues is also important in this region. This is very important for the local community to use the conservation parks in the community reserve portion of this area.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have no more questions.
Okay, thank you, Alimara Khatun. Now we are at the end of this webinar, and now I like to invite Professor Milan Mondal sir, Department of Bengali and Coordinator of IQAC, S.R.Fatepuria College, for the vote of thanks.
নমস্কার, পিনাকি শোনা যাচ্ছে? নমস্কার।
Yes,
নমস্কার। নমস্কার।
audible, you are audible.
হ্যাঁ, শিবনারায়ণ রামেশ্বর ফতেপুরিয়া কলেজের পরিবেশ বিজ্ঞান বিভাগ ও ইন্টারনাল কোয়ালিটি অ্যাসুরেন্স সেলসের যৌথ উদ্যোগে আয়োজিত আজকের এই রাজ্যস্তরীয় একদিবসীয় ওয়েবিনার এনভায়রনমেন্টাল সাস্টেনেবিলিটি অ্যান্ড কনজারভেশন ইস্যুস অ্যান্ড চ্যালেঞ্জেস। উপস্থিত সকল অংশগ্রহণকারীকে শুভেচ্ছা জানাই, ধন্যবাদ জানাই। আমি প্রথমেই কল্যাণী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের সম্মানীয় মাননীয় উপাচার্য মহাশয় ডক্টর মানস কুমার সান্যাল মহাশয়কে শ্রদ্ধা জানাই, কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাই ওনার মূল্যবান সময়ের মধ্যে থেকেও আমাদের এই ওয়েবিনারকে আনুষ্ঠানিকভাবে উদ্বোধন করার জন্য। এবং আরও ধন্যবাদ জানাই আমাদের কল্যাণী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের কন্ট্রোলার মহোদয় ডক্টর বিমলেন্দু বিশ্বাস মহাশয়কে যে মূল্যবান মেসেজ ওয়েবিনার সম্পর্কে পাঠানোর জন্য। ধন্যবাদ জানাই প্রফেসর সোমা মুখার্জি, বিভাগীয় প্রধান পরিবেশ বিজ্ঞান বিভাগ, কল্যাণী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়, তার মূল্যবান বক্তব্য পরিবেশন করে আমাদের ঋদ্ধ করেছেন, সমৃদ্ধ করেছেন। আশা রাখছি আমরা ভীষণ উপকৃত হয়েছি এবং অগণিত ছাত্রছাত্রী, শিক্ষক, গবেষক সকলেই উপকৃত হয়েছি। বিশেষ করে যে রোডম্যাপ গ্রিন অ্যান্ড ক্লিন অ্যান্ড এনভায়রনমেন্টের সম্পর্কে যে তথ্য তিনি আমাদের সামনে পরিবেশন করেছেন, তা সকলেই আমরা ভীষণ উপকৃত হয়েছি। আরও ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন করি ডক্টর শান্তনু চৌধুরী, সহকারী অধ্যাপক পরিবেশ বিজ্ঞান বিভাগ, আশুতোষ কলেজ, কলকাতা। ওনার মূল্যবান বক্তব্যে আমরা সকলেই সমৃদ্ধ হয়েছি, অনেক অজানা তথ্য জেনে ভীষণ আমরা উপকৃত হয়েছি। ছাত্রছাত্রীরাও আশা করি উপকৃত হয়েছে। এবং বিশেষ করে এই ওয়েবিনারে যারা গুগল মিট বা ইউটিউবে এতক্ষণ ধরে যারা শুনলেন বা দেখলেন, সমস্ত অধ্যাপক, অধ্যাপিকা, গবেষক, ছাত্রছাত্রী, তাদেরকেও দীর্ঘ সময় আমাদের সঙ্গে থাকার জন্য ধন্যবাদ জানাই। এবং সর্বোপরি আমাদের S.R.Fatepuria কলেজ পরিবারের সকল সহকর্মী, শিক্ষাকর্মী ও ছাত্রছাত্রীদের কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাই। এবং আমাদের কলেজের পরিবেশ বিজ্ঞান বিভাগের সকল অধ্যাপক, অধ্যাপিকাদের ঐকান্তিক প্রচেষ্টায় আজকের এই ওয়েবিনার সুন্দর ও সার্থকভাবে সফল হয়েছে। তার জন্য তাদেরকেও ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি, কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাচ্ছি। আন্তর্জালিক মাধ্যমকে যিনি সচল রেখেছেন শ্রীকান্ত বসাক, তাকেও ধন্যবাদ এবং কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাচ্ছি। আমাদের অধ্যক্ষ মহাশয়ের যোগ্য নেতৃত্বে আমরা যেভাবে একটা নতুন ভিশনের লক্ষ্যে এগিয়ে চলেছি এবং ওনার যে উদ্দেশ্য, সেই উদ্দেশ্যে আমরা সফল করার জন্য আমাদের সকল সহকর্মী এবং অন্যান্য বিভাগের অধ্যাপক, অধ্যাপিকারা এবং আমার শিক্ষাকর্মী বন্ধুরা কলেজের, তারা সহযোগিতার হাত বাড়িয়ে দিয়েছে। এবং আগামী দিনেও আমরা এই ধরনের আরো ওয়েবিনার আশা করি আয়োজন করতে পারবো এবং ছাত্রছাত্রী, গবেষকদের সামনে উপস্থাপন করতে পারবো। এবং আশা রাখছি যে এই ধরনের ওয়েবিনারের ফলে পরিবেশের যে ভূমিকা এবং তার যে তথ্য বা গবেষণা সমৃদ্ধ যে বিপুল তথ্য ভান্ডার আমাদের সামনে তুলে ধরলেন প্রফেসর শোভা মুখার্জি ও ডক্টর অধ্যাপক শান্তনু চৌধুরী এই মহাশয়, তাদেরকে আবারও ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন করছি। এই মহামারীর মধ্যে দিয়ে আমরা এই ধরনের একটা অনুষ্ঠান আয়োজন করার জন্য এবং দীর্ঘক্ষণ আমাদের সঙ্গে যারা সময় কাটালেন তাদেরকে আবারও ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন করছি। আশা করি সকলে সুস্থ থাকবেন এবং আজকের এই ওয়েবিনারের যে শ্রোতা দীর্ঘক্ষণ সময় কাটালেন তাদেরকে আবারও ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি এবং আজকের এই ওয়েবিনারের সমাপ্তি ঘোষণা করছি। ধন্যবাদ, নমস্কার।
With the permission of our principal,
you.
sir, I am ending this webinar here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you, Santimida.
Thank you, Bharati.
Thank you, sir.
Milan sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.